this is amazing. I'm doing German short rows, and I mean, just look at it. It's amazing. Look at that shape that is achieved by working short rows. Isn't that amazing? Good day everyone, my name is Mariette, also known as the Boervrou, and welcome to episode 13 of the Crafty Stitches Podcast. Today is the 12th of June 2022 and I'm coming to you from South Africa. We are going into winter now, and it is getting colder and colder every day. Some days is nice, but yeah, the evenings is very cold, and we've actually been making some fire in our fireplace for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So that is nice and cozy, knitting in front of the fireplace. But anyway, we had quite a few things happen in the past 2 weeks since my previous recording. But I will be sharing some things in the news section with you and keep you updated on that. So let's just jump right into this episode. I've got some notes. I'm checking to see that I keep recording. And let's just start with the first finished object. So for my first finished object, obviously I'm wearing my Beekeeper Cardigan. I am so happy with this cardigan. I'm really thinking about making another one. Maybe not this winter, but I'm definitely considering it. So yes, as I said, this is the Beekeeper Cardigan. I just want to check my notes to make sure that I say everything that I modified on the pattern and so forth. So I used some mystery yarn. I think it is a polyester and Angora rabbit blend. I don't think that the Angora rabbit is a lot of the makeup. It might be something like 5 or 10%. But anyway, it gives it this beautiful fluffy texture to the yarn. But anyway, so this is the Beekeeper. I'll stand up a little bit. And then I added buttons to it. Hope you can see that. So these are the buttons that has been made by my husband and myself. It is the eucalyptus buttons. So this buttons was made by hand. I asked my husband to help me after I was inspired by Martina from the We Grow Wild Knitting podcast. And we used some eucalyptus wood that was grown on the farm and cut on the farm where we currently live. And we made these buttons. So I added 10 buttons to the pattern. The pattern does not have buttons, but I added buttons. And then I also changed the length of the sleeves. I think it is called for 3/4 sleeves. And I also added a little bit of waist shaping, A-line shaping to the pattern, which I will definitely do again if I make this pattern again. And the other thing that I changed is I used one type of ribbing. I just did 2x2 ribbing on the whole cardigan. In the pattern, it's suggested to use 2 different types of ribbing. So I changed that. I changed the ribbing. I changed the length of the sleeves. I added buttons and I added A-line shaping. I think that's everything that that I changed. I did have to go up a needle size. I used a 5mm needle for the body and a 4.5mm for the sleeves. But I do knit quite tightly, So I think that is why my gauge was off. And of course, I don't know the exact weight of this yarn, so that can also have a big role on my gauge. So yes, my Beekeeper cardigan is finished. I'm very, very happy. I actually started the Beekeeper cardigan as a birthday cast on, and I cast it on a day before my birthday in March, and now it's finished. So I'm very happy about that. It is a lovely, lovely cardigan to wear. I've had it on all morning and I don't want to take it off because it's nice and cozy. But yes, that is the Beekeeper cardigan. So I do have another finished object, which is my Irene Socks. In the previous episode, my first sock was done and I was knitting the scuff down, and my second sock was up to that point. So I finished the foot and the toe. And yes, my Irene Socks is beautiful. There you can see the pattern a little bit better, I think. Alright, so this socks was designed by Tracy of the Grocery Girls, and I used a sock set from Teresa Yarncreations in their Clio base for the socks, which is a 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon 3-ply sock fingering weight. And then I had 80 grams of the main color and 30 grams of the contrasting color. I used 2.5 millimeter needles, and I actually weighed it. I'm wearing a UK size 7 shoe, and I used 59 grams of my main color and 14 grams of my contrast color for these socks. I actually made a video that that I released last week for how long it took me to knit a patterned sock. So I'll link that for you if you're interested. But yes, I'm very, very happy with these socks. They are really, really pretty. It's all my kind of colors. I think usually that is a little bit more true to color than here. Here it's got lots more saturation, and it's not that saturated. Anyway, all right. So that is the socks. That is everything I needed to say about the socks. So that is my two finished objects for these past 2 weeks. And with that, let's move into works in progress. All right, I do have a lot of webs. I've got 5 actually. So the first one you guys definitely have seen before. It is my lace that I'm making for my pantry shelves. A little bit tangled here. Just try and get it untangled. Oh, it doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, so this is the lace that I am making. I am using L crochet number 5 100% acrylic yarn for this lace, and I'm using a 2.25 millimeter crochet hook to make it. And then I am making 4 meter lengths of this lace for the shelves in my pantry. I need 6 pieces because there is 6 shelves, and this is the second one that I'm doing, and I'm still trying to get all 6 pieces done by the end of this year. Okay, let me move my progress keeper. This is a progress keeper by Itsy Klein. Let me move that up. I'm actually using 2 progress keepers for this project. I'm also using this progress keeper from the Lekker podcast made by Jalene to keep my place on when I crochet so that my stitches don't come undone when I pull it out of the bag. So that is the lace, still growing. This piece is almost halfway done for this month so far. All right. So that is the lace. My next whip is it's a baby cardigan. It is a free pattern on Al Yarn's website, and it is actually for a cardigan and booties, and the number of it is 7561. So this cardigan was requested by a family member for a baby boy that will be born in August, and I'm trying to get this cardigan done this month so that it can go to the family member that requested it, and so that it can go to the family where the baby will be born into. Alright, so in my previous episode I was at this point on the back of the cardigan, the back panel. So I finished the back panel, and I also finished the 2 front pieces, as you can see there. And I also finished 1 sleeve. So I still need to finish the second sleeve of this cardigan, and then I must still work it together. I need to seam it up, and then I guess I didn't actually read the pattern so far. I guess we're gonna do a border around with some buttonholes, because this cardigan does have buttonholes. Actually, the cardigan also have like circles and stripes on it, but they said they wanted just a little plain blue cardigan. So that is what we will do. For this cardigan, I am not using the exact recommended yarn. In the pattern it calls for Al Babykins, and I am using Al Baby 4-ply. I've had this for a very long time, so I'm not sure if it is the exact same thing, but if I look at the yarn label for the Al Babykins, it's also a 4-ply. It's got the same meterage on 50 grams, because this is 200 meters on 50 grams. And then the recommended hook size is a 3mm hook. I am not using the recommended hook size for this pattern. The pattern recommends a 3mm, but I cannot get gauge, stitch or row gauge with a 3mm hook. I had to size down to a 2.25mm needle, and then my row and stitch gauge is spot on, so then I get the exact gauge that I need. So it seems I am quite a loose crocheter, but that is about it for this project. I am making a 0 to 6 month size, and I'm only doing the cardigan. I'm not making I'm not making booties or anything like that. So this cardigan has been a little bit of a slow process for me. I think it's because I didn't really choose the project. I wanted to make something like a raglan style cardigan, but that is not what they wanted. And this one is written to be sewn together. So it is funny, when I start working on the panels, it's actually very enjoyable, but it's just to get going. I don't know what it is. Sit and mope about it basically, and then the moment you get going, see, oh, this is not so bad, and then you can carry on quite easily. So I sat down and I made the front panel and the sleeve all in one go, because it wasn't really so bad, but I don't know what it is that prevents me just from getting into it. So I think this will get done very soon. Hopefully by the next episode it will be done. I really hope so. I think that is about all I wanted to say about this project. Okay. I feel like I'm chasing through the projects today. I don't know why. Okay, so the third work in progress is one of the projects that came out of my whip bin in May, and it is a cowl that I am reknitting. I have decided to change the design a little bit and reknit this one because it was just a little bit too big for my liking. So this project is made with Moya double knit cotton, 100% cotton, which is a hand dyed South African yarn, and this project is made with the color Sangria, and I'm knitting this project with 4mm needles. And I'm actually not knitting this cowl with these needles. I'm actually using my Chiagu interchangeable set for it, but I only have one 4mm Chiagu set of needles, needle tips. So when I finish to a certain point in this one, I just pop this cheapo needles inside just to keep it on something, and then I'm using it for another project, which I will show you just now. But anyway, so I'm not using these needles. These are just placeholder needles. All right, so in the previous recording, I still just had a flat piece of knitting up to this marker here, which is another one of Itsy Klein's progress keepers. Anyway, so this is how far I came with this project. I finished the, I don't know what you would call this, hem, seam, top seam, which has 2 eyelets where I'm going to thread an I-cord through, and then I've knitted to about 30 centimeters from here to where I am now. It is worked with increases, and it will still grow a little bit in this direction in width when I wash it. So yes, I'm gonna try and see if I can get the cowl to be about between 45 and 50 centimeters from this edge here up to the end, and I'm still increasing as I go. So I'm really enjoying this knit. I really love the yarn, I love the color, I love the shape, I love everything about this thing. So I'm very excited to get this one done. because it's my favorite color, it's my own design, and I would love to still wear it this winter. And I think if I keep going at this pace, I might have it finished by the end of the month. This cowl is also the project that I nominated for my Account Buddy Train project, which is I don't know, I would say like a make-along hosted on Instagram by Itsy Klein. It is just where we share our projects for the month that we would like to get finished during the month as a Account Buddy Train project, and we all encourage each other to make progress on this project. And when we share our progress, everybody else that's participating shares the progress on their stories as well, and in this way we encourage each other to get these projects done. So this is my Account Buddy Train project for the month of June. So I am very excited about this one, and I think I might get it finished this month. I would love to wear it still. So that is basically all that I can say for this project. I don't think I forgot anything. I don't see anything in my notes. Oh, let me move this progress keeper because I will definitely forget. Right. All done. Oh, I had to say something else as well. Actually, I am alternating. I'm alternating yarns every row for this project because this is hand-dyed yarn, and sometimes the color difference from one yarn to another, even in the same lot number, can differ, and I'm very afraid of that. So I am definitely alternating yarns. I'm using the method that I saw when I knitted this the first time, that was published on YouTube by Nicole of the Professor Pearl podcast. I think she calls it the easy alternator, where you knit to the beginning of round and leave your yarn in the front, and then pick up the yarn that you left and just knit with that. And when you come back to the front again, you leave your working yarn to the front and you take the left behind yarn and just bring it to the back and knit with it. I am sure that Hilda from the Slow Saturday podcast has also done a tutorial on this alternating method just now, like a week or two ago. So I'll link both of the two tutorials down below for you. It's really very easy, and you really cannot see where the yarns was switched. I really like this method a lot. Now it's everything. Okay, so that is that project. Right. So that is all of the whips that I had from my previous episode. And then my next two whips is new cast-ons. So because my socks were finished, I cast on a new pair because I am trying to participate in summer sock camp, as well as the Sock It To Me challenge hosted by Linda Simpson and Kim of Kim's Crochet and Knits. Let me check. Yes, Kim's Crochet and Knits. So I cast on a new sock. These will be for my husband, Anton. And I am knitting it toe up. And this is what I have so far. I'm using a contrasting color for the toes, and I'll also be using the same gray color for the heel. This is all some of the regular 4-ply yarns that I got from Arthur Bales. It is 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide, and it has got 420 meters on 100 grams. So that does mean that this yarn is a little bit thinner than, it's also thinner than the Naku yarns that I used before. I don't know if you'd be able to see it, that it's thin. It's thinner than the 75-25s that I've worked with before. So it's thinner than the Naku yarns that I've used, and it's quite a bit thinner than the Esteresa yarns as well. But yes, I just thought I'd mention that. But I'm loving working with this yarn. I should add a progress keeper to this project. Do that quickly. That is a progress keeper by Pincushion Crafts. I had the clasp changed so that it is easier to use. I'll talk about that in the news section. But anyway, so this is the socks that I'm doing for the month of June. I am a little behind on them, I do know, but socks is such a fun thing to knit. I'm sure I'll catch up very easily. I am doing it on a 2.25, no, I'm doing it on a 2.5 millimeter needle on the magic loop method, as you can see. And these will be, I still don't know his shoe size. It is or a 10 or an 11. But I can tell you that his feet is 27 centimeters long. That I do know. Anyway, so these are my socks for June. Yeah, it will be just straight plain vanilla socks with a contrasting heel and toe. Let's see how far I can get with these socks in the next 2 weeks, because I feel like I am behind on my socks. I think I definitely am. I should have almost be finished with this this sock. But anyway, I think that is all I had to say on the socks. All right, what's next? Let me have a sip of my ginger tea. All right, now this one is very exciting. And this is where my 4mm Jaigu needles is hanging out at the moment. My friend Leanie of Independence Crochet and I went to this workshop and we cast on hats, and this is the one that I chose to do. So this is the Construct hat by Willie Wormhead, and this is what I have so far. I think I'm on the 5th panel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I just started the 5th panel. So this is what it will. This is what it will be looking like. And oh my goodness, what a pattern! The pattern that I'm using has got written instructions as well as a chart. And obviously I want to learn reading charts a little bit better, because I'm not very good at that yet. The workshop that we went to was specifically on short rows and neat edges. So I chose this hat, and it is worked sideways, and of course my gauge was off, as it always is, and I had to go up a needle size. I actually had to go up 3 US needle sizes, from a 3.25 millimeter needle to a 4 millimeter needle to get stitch gauge. But now my row gauge was still off. So I thought, let's just make the hat, and we will fix it when we get to where we're supposed to be. So my panels is a little bit bigger than is in the pattern, and I've decided I will just do 1 or 2 panels less. So if I get to the amount of panels, I think it'll be 7, then I'll fit it and see if it's big enough, if I must do 8 or 7. This is amazing. I'm doing German short rows, and I mean, just look at it. It's amazing. Look at that shape that is achieved by working short rows. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. I think I've said amazing a million times about this project, but it is amazing. So anyway, I cannot stop looking at it. I decided, because I was in a workshop or a class for neat edges and short rows, I decided to do the golden rule for my neat edge. I hope you can see it there. Which is basically slipping the last stitch purlwise and knitting the first stitch through the back loop. So that's what I'm doing to get this edge. It looks like a nice neat line to me, and I really like that. So we shall see how this comes out at the end of the day. So I was a little bit I don't know if my floats is loose enough, stretchy enough. I think the first panel is maybe a little bit tight, but the rest seems better. Seems I am managing my floats a little better. I'm really enjoying this project. I had to rip back the piece that I did in class. I think I did like 4 rows on the whole pattern, and when I got home, I was thinking of just continuing, and I have this problem that my dog reacts to smells, especially essential oils, and things like perfumes and stay softs and that type of thing. So I do know that usually the lovely smelling Naughty Habit yarns has an effect on the dog. So I thought by myself, if I get home and actually I smelled the yarn when I bought it, and I smelled that it smelled differently. And she did say that she's using a different Stay Soft or whatever it is. And I thought when I got home, I can maybe just carry on with the project. Maybe this smell would not affect her. But when she lifted her back paw to start scratching, I just took the whole thing off the needles. I just ripped out the 4 rows that I've already did. And I rehanged the yarn and I washed everything. Even the provisional cast on, I've even washed that. And so I washed that on Sunday, and on Monday when it was all dried up, I caked it up again and I started from scratch. So I'm very impressed with myself with this project. I did buy these yarns at the pop-up shop on Saturday. It is Knotty Habit double knit 3-ply 100% merino wool, superwash merino. This one is called Cherry Pie. I don't know if the color would be accurate. I hope so. So this one is Cherry Pie, and it's 216 meters per 100 grams. And my other color is called Sabelle, and it is this put my face away. It's I would say it's like almost a pinkish beige, because this is beige and it's got like a pinkish tint to it, I think. Well, that's what my eyes see anyway. So that is what I bought for this project. I think the yarn in the pattern is, I cannot remember the name of the yarn, but I think it calls for 224 meters per 100 gram. So this is 216 meters. So I thought it's near enough to substitute with. And I'm really enjoying working with this yarn. I think I'm a little hooked on it now. It's really gorgeous and so lovely and soft to work with. I am also testing out a new yarn cake cozy here. This one is made with a sock fingering weight yarn, just held single. So I made one actually this week. So this is actually another finished object that I didn't mention. But anyway, so I'm testing out this yarn for the cozy and testing it on a 100 gram cake to see how it holds up. So I'll keep you updated on that. Alright, so as I said, I am making the hat with a 4mm needle, which has resulted in a row gauge that is not correct, but I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. And I'm doing German short rows for the pattern. The pattern does state that you can do wrap and turn short rows as well, or the one or the other, I guess. But I decided to stick with the German short rows for this one, and I'm doing the golden rule for the edge, the knit edge. That's it. I think that's it. I think I said everything. Right. Okay, let me take a sip. I didn't put a progress keeper in it. That's what I should still do. Alright. Do that quickly. Okay. Let me see my notes. Okay, so now we can transition into my crafting goals. Alright, so I did quite a lot of crafting these 2 weeks. I've basically kept up with all of the goals that I set in the beginning of the month so far. I was going to work on three projects that I had on the list, and then I was going to finish my Irene Socks, which I did, and I was going to finish the Beekeeper, to add the buttons, and that I did do. So let's quickly recap. So my goal for the lace was to finish 23 repeats every week and 11 for the last week. So I did finish the 46 repeats for week 1 and 2 of the past 2 weeks. So that I'm up to date with. And then the baby cardigan, I wanted to finish the back and the front. And for the next week, I was saying I'm going to do the front and one sleeve, which I have completed. So that is on track as well. The cowl, I wanted to finish about 15 centimeters worth of knitting for each week. And that I did. The first week, that actually meant more than 15 centimeters worth of knitting, because I still had the back part of that double folded hem at the top. I don't know if it's a hem. The double seam. No, it's not a seam. I don't know what it is. So anyway, I knitted still the back, and then I've measured from the top of the cowl to 15 centimeters, and then last week I did another 15 centimeters. So that is also up to date. So what came in? I do have 2 new cast-ons that needs to get on this list. So one is my husband's socks. So I am a bit behind on the socks, and I basically need to finish the first sock during this next week. So that'll be the week from the 12th to the 19th. So I need to finish the sock still this week, and then do about half of the next sock in the second week. So if I can do that and finish this first sock this week, I'll have 2 weeks to do the second sock, and then I'll have that half a week just as a buffer if I need to still do anything else for the sock. So I think it is doable. I must say that all of this crafting is quite a lot to do at a time. So I think maybe next month I must try and see if there's any way to make it a little less, so that I'm not so packed with things that I need to do. But anyway, even with all of this knitting and crochet going on, I also started the construct hat. And I mean, I worked 5 panels. Now I'm on the 5th panel, and I'm gonna have 6 or 7 panels. So it's not that far from being done. So I am going to try and finish the hat this week as well. So we shall see if that happens. But I would really like to finish it, because I don't want to keep switching needles from the one project to the other. So I would really like to finish the hat this week, and then I can have the 4mm needles again for the cowl. So I am going to stick to these projects for now as the goals for the rest of this month, and see if I can get all of these things done, and then we will adjust the amount of crafting for next month, because as I said, it is quite a lot of things to do, and in between I still do have other things to do as well. I mean, I've got lots of baking and things to keep up to date. Anyway, so that is my goals for this week. I am very proud of myself that I actually kept up to date with this so far, and let's see if I can get the rest done that I want for this month. So we'll definitely talk about this again. there will be another episode, I think, still in this month. Yes, I will have another episode in this month, and then we can see how I'm gonna adjust it maybe for next month. But I'm still on track with everything that I wanted to do, so I'm gonna try and keep up to date with these goals. Right, so let's move on to news. Right, my news is quite full this week. I was saying in the previous episode that I had a big rusk order to bake, and that luckily is baked and out the door. That kept me quite busy as well. Last week I released a video on how long it takes me to knit a patterned sock, and I was using the Irene sock, the second sock of the Irene Socks, where I knit 1 hour and make a little video on how far I've knitted on it and so forth, to see how long it actually takes to knit a patterned sock. I did get a few suggestions on I must please make a vanilla sock video as well, so that we can see if that changes. So I'll definitely be doing that. But I will do that for my own size so that it can be a better reference. So we shall see. Maybe I'll do that next month when I knit myself another pair of socks. So I will also link that in the cards for you up here and down below. Then I did mention in my previous episode that I am going to start a crafty stitches craft night. I have decided on the date. After looking at the load shedding schedules and everything, I've decided to do it on the 17th of June. It is a Friday evening at 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. I will also be advertising it on Instagram, so you can have a look out over there if you like. I was thinking of sending everybody the meeting details and not just throwing it up on social media to avoid having trolls on the meeting. I was thinking of maybe creating an email list with the details and so forth for everybody that is interested, and then I can just push one button and send it out to everybody. I will be announcing it again on Instagram and keep you updated there as well about the craft night. But it will definitely be on the 17th of June at 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. Alright, then the next Scrappy Sunday chat will be most likely the last Sunday of this month. We haven't finalized all of the details yet, but my next podcast episode will come out after that, so please be on the lookout on Instagram for more details on that, as well as on my friend Leanie of the Independence Crochet YouTube channel. She's got the Pick Up Stitches podcast. She will also announce more details on her Instagram and in her podcasts as well about the Scrappy Sunday chat, as she does a weekly podcast, whereas mine is only coming out every 2 weeks. But we will keep you updated on Instagram and Facebook and so forth. Right, then let me see. Yesterday was the 11th of June, which was International Knit and Crochet in Public Day. I had some tasks that I needed to do here, and I couldn't go anywhere really to participate in a knit along or something somewhere. But yes, I see that everybody had a wonderful time wherever they were, and lots of pictures were shared on Instagram and so forth. We actually had a very, I can't really say exciting, but yeah, it got the blood pumping a little bit. We actually had a very big veld fire on the farm next door yesterday. So yeah, it was quite a few hours outdoors in smoke and fire and heat and so forth. But anyway, luckily it was just like weeds and things that burnt down. So there was no people or buildings or animal danger of the fire. We got it all under control before that happened. There was quite a wind, but luckily the fire didn't jump any roads or so it was all contained. Actually, we had another thing happening to us. It was so funny. I was actually sad afterwards that I didn't take any footage. During the week, one day I was sitting here in the craft room, busy doing some things, and my husband came in the door and said, "We've got a problem." And my first thing that I thought was, oh my goodness, it's a fire. I don't know why, but if somebody says there's a problem, I immediately go, fire. But it was not a fire. So I asked him, so what's wrong? And he said that we've got a lot of bees in the house. And when I went into the living room, it was like just bees everywhere. There's like, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think there could have easily been 200 bees in the living room. And they were making quite a noise. They were coming in through the fireplace, actually. Even though the top of the fireplace is closed off, they must have found a little hole and they went in there. So they came down the chimney and into the house. Luckily, there's 3 doors that we could close, and it was closed off from the rest of the house. And we actually have an apiarist here that has got quite a few beehives on the property, and we phoned him up and said, listen, what can we do? And he suggested that we get swimming pool chlorine, like the powdered chlorine, and put it into a little container and put it into the fireplace and close it up from the inside of the house, so that the gas from the chlorine can go up, and that will chase them out, because they just tried to move in to the chimney, and it's a built chimney. So if that happens, it needs to be, if they can't get to the bees, you'll have to break it open to get them out. Anyway, so we were phoning around everybody that we know in the area that's got a swimming pool, and you wouldn't believe it, but nobody has got chlorine. Anyway, so got into the car, went to the shop, bought some, came back, put it in a container, put it in the fireplace and close it up. So late in the afternoon, the bees quieted down quite a lot, and we thought they'd all gone. But that was not the case. We opened up the fireplace from the inside, cleaned everything up, and later in the afternoon there was more bees coming in again. So we just decided to do the same thing, put in the chlorine again, closed it up, and we left it for the whole day. And I think the day after, the guy was going past and he said, no, he's just going to come and have a look. And after he looked at, he didn't go up the roof, obviously, because, I mean, it's daytime. And about an hour after he'd gone and said that they'll come on Monday to take them out, the bees actually moved on. My husband was outside working on something, and he just heard this huge amount of bees, and they were just everywhere outside, and it seemed that they moved on. So for the past 2 days, we haven't moved even the chlorine. We just left it there in the fireplace, closed up. And still today, it doesn't seem that there's any bees anymore. So that'll be very, very exciting if they left on their own. But yeah, that was quite something else. I've never been in a closed up room with so many bees before. But what can you do? You need to do what you need to do. And we opened the door for the ones in the house to go out. And yeah, it's quite terrifying putting your hand out in between all of these bees going like this to open and close the door. But they weren't angry at that stage. They really, we didn't get stung at all. So luckily for us, they all left. All right, so that is all of the excitement that happened in my life the past 2 weeks. Right, so as I mentioned, my friend Leanie from Independence Crochet and I went to the pop-up shop of Naughty Habit on the 4th of June at Little Yarncraft, and we attended the workshop from hosted by Juanita Muir on short rows and neat edges. So that was a lot of fun. We actually bought some yarns. Itsy Klein was there as well, Gertruida, and I actually took my progress keepers that I had that's got like the little crocodile clasps on them, and she replaced them for me. We were joking that it's her clasp replacement service, and she actually put these clasps on them for me so that it's easier to get them in the stitches and close them up. So I'm very, very happy about that. That works a lot easier. Anyway, so that is about that. We met some of the people that we've seen before. We had Bev visited and Ursula, and it was so nice to see everybody again. Yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. It was a lovely event. I got some gifts as well during this past 2 weeks. I was gifted this beautiful sock set that is really, really, really gorgeous. Loving the purples here. And I also got a Happy Mail package, which is these 2 sock sets from Esteresa Yarncreations. I'm very, very fortunate and very blessed to have received these beautiful gifts. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate it. Cannot wait to make some beautiful socks with these. Or whatever I'll make with them. We shall see when I get to them. Let me see. What else is there? That's about it from me. I still want to do my 2 podcast recommendations and then end the episode with my normal comment question. So for podcast recommendations, oh, and you can feel free to please leave podcast recommendations down below in the comments. Everybody that reads the comments can also find those podcasts, and maybe it is somebody that I don't know about. So please leave your podcast recommendations down below as well. That'll be really appreciated. So my first podcast recommendation is Hannah from Herb Garden Knitwear. The first time I actually heard about Hannah from Herb Garden Knitwear was last year, I think. I cannot remember the exact details, but Anastasia from the Free Your Sheep podcast actually had like a little summer knit along or something like that, and she was knitting the veldspar tee which is a design by Hannah from Herb Garden Knitwear. But anyway, so I've heard about her and I've heard somebody mentioning her before, and I actually went and looked on YouTube and I found her podcast as well. She is from Germany, and she's only have 4 episodes so far, but she's not doing the normal format of podcasting because she is a monogamous knitter, and in her podcasts she actually gives some tips and tricks that she's learned over the past year or two that she's been knitting, and she gives lovely information like how to do yarn substitution, what is different fiber types. She's got something about color work, and in her 4th episode she was talking about swatching and why it's important and all of those things. So it's a very, very informative podcast, really worth watching. So I hope you would enjoy that. And then the second podcast recommendation is This Nanny Knits. Lucy is from the UK and she is a professional nanny. She is also participating in the Desert Vista Dye Works sock knit along with the Desert Vista Dye Works yarns, and yeah, she's got a lovely podcast. I think I've watched hers from the start, and I was actually laughing so hard in the last episode that she made because she's knitting the Evelyn top. I'm not sure by whom it is, but it is so funny because it's like a ripped pattern and she's holding it up, and she said something like, yeah, it looks like it's for a toddler, and her husband, every time he looks at it, he says, I'm so sorry, Lucy, but this is not going to fit you. So she says she's just trusting the pattern and hoping that it'll stretch. So I'm very excited to see the next episode when it comes out, to see if this top is going to fit or not. Anyway, she also tested more than one of Laura of Penrose Knits souffle patterns, and yeah, I don't know, I'm just enjoying watching her projects and seeing all the things that she makes. I will link both of them down below for you. Alright, then my last thing for this podcast episode is my comment question. My comment question for this episode is, are you a shawl wearer? Not knitter, wearer. And what is your favorite shape of shawl to wear? Like, do you like triangular shawls, or just like the long rectangular types? It's like a big scarf, or crescent shaped or asymmetrical. I would love to know what is your favorite shape of shawl to wear, and I am still trying to figure out which shape I like best, but I have not knit a proper crescent shawl yet, and I have not done a asymmetrical shawl yet, so I still need to figure that out, but I would love to know what you like to wear. So that is it from me today. I hope I've mentioned everything that I should. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more of my content, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.